Welcome back to another episode of Tax Problem Solved, the podcast that keeps the IRS out of your pocketbooks, wallets, and bank accounts. I'm your host, Deltrice Hart Anderson, IRS enrolled agent, tax strategist, and the person you want to call when those letters start piling up. Today, we are going to talk about something that has a lot of people on edge right now. The government shutdown being over. So the lights are back on, the phones are ringing again, and the IRS is doing what the IRS does for the most part. But what does this actually mean for you, the taxpayer, the business owner, the real estate investor, or the person already in tax trouble? Let's break it down in everyday language so you know exactly what to expect, what to do, and how to protect yourself. So I want to paint a picture first before we go into what this shutdown meant. Think about it for those of you that take vacations. Typically, you may take a couple of days or even a week's vacation, right? From your job, from your career, from your business, whatever the case may be. And then when you come back home, there's a lot of things to do, right? When you go back to your business, there are a lot of things to do. When you go back to your job, get to your desk, get to your office, there are a lot of things to do, right? So just think about not taking a couple of days vacation, 2 or 3 days, or a couple of or a week's vacation. Let's talk about an over a month vacation, okay? So being away from your business, from your desk, from your office, however you work, just think about being away for a long period of time, okay? Over a week, so over a month, right? What's going to happen when you get back? You're going to have tons of emails. You're going to have tons of meetings, probably meetings about meetings, right? And you're going to have to play catch up. Well, that catch up, it's not just going to take you a day or two. That catch up could take you, if you were gone for a week, it might take you an extra week to catch up. If you were gone for 2 or 3 days, it might take you 2 or 3 days to catch up. But consider being away for 43 days, okay? That's a long time. So I want you to just keep that in the back of your mind as we have this conversation. Now, let's talk about what the shutdown actually meant from a tax perspective. During the shutdown, the IRS was running what was called non-essential operations. So that just means that things were running way slow. All right. Notices got delayed. The phone lines were limited. Refunds were slow. If you mailed anything to the IRS, forget it. It didn't happen. Like they just didn't see it, right? And then those levy or lien actions you were hoping would pause, they didn't. They did not. How do I know? Because I have been assisting taxpayers with bank levies, with wage garnishments, the whole time that the government was quote unquote shut down. All right. Now, that shutdown is over. And the IRS has come back. Those that were not there, I should say. Now they've come back to their offices and they have to play catch up. And depending on where you stand, that either could be a blessing or it could be a nightmare. So if you owe the IRS, I want you to listen very closely. As soon as a shutdown ends, the IRS starts to turn up the enforcement machine, okay? So that enforcement machine is back on. There were some people that, even though the IRS wanted to collect from them, they could not collect from them because the collections happen where it wasn't automated. An actual person had to lay eyes on their tax returns. An actual person, a physical person, had to lay eyes on their tax matter. And that particular person or persons were not in the office. Okay. But guess what? Now they are back. So, who am I talking about? The revenue officers, which their sole mission in life is just to collect money. They're back in the office, by the way. All right. So, here's what you can expect immediately: a backlog of notices will start to be released. Okay. Those CP14s, 501s, 504s, LT11s, they're going to be coming a little more aggressively at this point. Okay. If you don't know what those letters mean, I had a whole series called Stop IRS Letters. You could go and listen to those podcast episodes, and it will tell you exactly what they mean, exactly how to handle them. Okay. Another thing that you can expect: levy actions. Those levy actions will resume. If you were in the IRS's queue before the shutdown and you were with a revenue officer, don't get too comfortable. The revenue officers are back. Yes, they're going to be slow, but they are back and they have to work down their cases. Okay. It's not going to be like when it was COVID, IRS was throwing away a bunch of mail and collection activities came to a halt. It's not going to be like that. It was only 43 days. Even though that's a long time frame, it's still, well, to us and probably to those that were not getting paid, those that were uncertain about their jobs, that's a long time. But in the grand scheme of things, 43 days wasn't that long of a time period. So those levy actions can resume. Installment agreement defaults can get processed. IRS didn't forget. Certain systems were paused, but now they're back. The IRS is back. So if you've been ignoring any letters or hoping the shutdown would buy you time, this is the moment you need to get ahead of your next notice before it escalates, especially if you were with a revenue officer or if there was an IRS revenue agent looking at some paperwork or looking at your account. Okay. Now, if you're waiting on a refund, refunds only slow down a little bit. Okay. Refunds will start moving faster again. Expect little delays on the front end, but once the ball starts rolling, the IRS is going to start kicking those refunds out. Okay. The IRS is basically working right now. Think of it as a traffic jam. There are thousands of returns and notices stuck on the interstate, I-26, I-20, I-10, I-95, wherever you are. Okay. But once the IRS gets back up and running, then everything will start flowing again. The roads will start back opening, the refund roads, if you will. Okay. But for right now, expect delays, slight delays, however, in direct deposits, slower transcript updates. Okay. So some of you may have gotten into properly structured installment agreements and you never did see that agreement on your account. Those accounts will be slowly updated. Now, the processing times on paper returns, if you actually mailed in a paper return right before the government shut down, it's going to take a long time to get those processed. Okay. Any amendments that a physical person has to lay eyes on, expect delays, because remember, They were on a long vacation. You may go on vacation for a week. They were on vacation for 4 weeks. Okay. So just remember that. If someone is looking at ID verification, that's going to take a little longer. All right. The offices going into the IRS offices right now, pack your patience because everyone is going to be there right now. Everyone is just like you. They have things they need to work out with the IRS, so there's going to be a traffic jam right now. My business owners, especially my Schedule C folks, my S Corp, my partnership owners, please hear me out. Here's what the shutdown period means for you. There are some people going through those ERC audits. Those audits and reviews will restart. What do I mean, ERC? So if you file for that employee retention credit, eyes are back on those claims. Okay? IRS is back. Payroll tax enforcement is going to ramp up again. So those trust fund recovery cases, they're back up and running. They don't stay quiet for long. Business notices delayed during the shutdown will start arriving all at once. So instead of you getting one letter here or there, you might get a bundle of letters. Okay. So if you're behind on payroll taxes, this is the time for you to get in front of it before they hit you with a levy. You don't want those problems because trust me, payroll taxes gets the IRS's full attention. All right. My real estate investors, here's your warning. Now that the IRS shutdown is over, letters, so correspondence audits will resume, especially those for those short-term rental owners who claim the real estate professional status or a large bonus depreciation, but you didn't have your paperwork. You went listening to someone on TikTok and things didn't look quite right. The math wasn't mathing for the IRS. Address that. Make sure and get that addressed. Cost seg claims filed during the shutdown. The IRS looks at every cost segregation, not every, but a lot of cost segregation claims during the shutdown. That if you submitted a tax return and amendment with a cost segregation on it, that might take a little longer to review. Remember, the IRS is going to be backed up for a little while. All right. Their interstate is going to be the traffic on that interstate. IRS's interstate is really, really jammed up right now. Okay. If you have a 1099K, a rental income, or a property sale that doesn't match what the IRS expects, the math ain't mathing for them, guess what? Expect a letter, okay? Because the IRS's matching program has been reactivated. All right. Now, let me give you some real talk. Shutdown over or not, the IRS, as I know, because I've been working cases, I never stopped. I never stopped talking to the IRS during the shutdown, okay? The IRS is a machine, it's a system, and that system never stops, okay? When it powers back up, it powers up fast. And the people who get hurt are those who were not prepared. So here's what you need to do right now. Check your mail. I know, and I'm telling you y'all this because we don't check our mail every day. And I tell people sometimes someone will send me something, say, hey, did you get my mail? I'm like, no, because we really just expect bills to be there. So we're never in a rush to go to our mailbox, right? We already know we have bills. There's no need for the reinforcement. But if you will, please check your old mail. Go to your mailbox. Go to that pile of mail, pile of envelopes, sort through. to see what you have there. Start checking your mailbox for old notices and new notices because they could hit all at one time. Pull your transcripts, see what has changed, what has posted. Look and see what's coming. If you have access to your transcripts online, you can see whether a letter is coming to you before the letter even hits your mailbox, okay? If you're expecting a refund, pack your patience, okay? If you, for a business owner, get your books in order now. So if you're in an audit and you know that revenue agent is going to be calling you back soon, getting on, scheduling another time to come out and meet with you, or your tax professional that's representing you, make sure I get those books current now. Catch-up season is now. The worst thing that you could do is nothing. All right? I think that's it. So if you received a notice, if you haven't received a notice, expect one. Or if you're already in trouble, this is literally what I do all day, every day. I get people out of tax trouble. I stop IRS letters before they stop you. So unfiled returns, IRS notices, liens, levies, payment plans, offers in compromise, payroll tax problems, business tax problems, real estate investors, all the things. This is how I can help you. If you don't get me to help you, please find someone that is licensed, that has experience, that can assist you, okay? Because you don't want these problems with the IRS. The government shutdown ending is your warning that the IRS is back in motion. So if you want help getting ahead of whatever is coming next, you can go to stopirsletters.com. We have a spot where you can upload your letter. You can also book a session to chat with me about that letter. Do not wait for the next letter, the next levy. Don't wait for any of those things because it only gets worse. Get help now. Get a peace of mind and get your tax problem solved. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you once again for listening to this episode of Tax Problem Solved. I'm your host, Deltrice Hart Anderson, keeping the IRS out of your pocketbooks, wallets, and bank accounts. Till next time, bye, y'all.